Let's go over a few housekeeping rules. Firstly, please keep your mics and your cameras off. If you have any questions, those will be answered at the end of the meeting. And if you, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them later. And this meeting will be recorded.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt. Hi, everybody. My name is Chantelle Rackley. I'm the KPU career coach. For those of you that were with us yesterday, welcome back. For those of you that are just joining us for today, welcome. It's great to have you back here again. Before we get started, I would like to gratefully acknowledge that we work, study, and live in a region south of the Fraser River, which overlaps with the unceded traditional and ancestral lands of the Kwantlen, Musqueam, Katsi, Semiahmoo, Tsawwassen, Kikite, and Coquitlam peoples. And just a reminder of the services that are available to you at the KPU Career Development Center. We have some group drop-ins, virtual chats as well, and then you can also register on Advisor Connect for in-person and virtual career advising appointments. And you can reach us anytime at careers@kpu.ca, and our phone number is listed there as well. Also, I really should be mentioning this because Mancha, who is our social media and special event student assistant, would kill me otherwise. Follow us on our social media platforms. So we're Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And if you're not following us, I'm pretty sure Mancha will find you and make you follow us. She's that good at her job. Reminder of some upcoming events. So tomorrow we do have resumes and cover letter webinar hosted by Michelle Matthijssen. Resumania is on Friday. That's where you can drop in for about a 10 to 15 minute critique of your resume. And then of course we have the big events, the reason why we're all here, Get Ready, Get Hired in Surrey on next Wednesday, the 28th, and in Richmond next Thursday, the 29th. And then that's going to all be followed by interviews webinar on Tuesday, October 4th, also hosted by Michelle Matthijssen. So hopefully you'll be registering for that. Just a reminder, of course, that for those of you that have registered and attend any of the webinars, your name will be put in for a draw to win a $20 gift card from Starbucks. So that's for each of those webinars. So this is navigating the job and volunteer fair. So of course, it makes sense that we're going to be covering some tips on what to do before the event, leading up to the event, which does include developing and practicing a quick intro pitch that will help you engage and be more memorable at the actual event. So during the event, we'll also be covering a few tips on what to do after the event, and then we'll open it up for some questions and hopefully some answers at the end of the webinar. So I'd like to shout out a question to all of you, and go ahead and please just type your answer there in the chat, and Matt will be reading those out for us. Why are you attending the Get Ready, Get Hired job fair? Is it to find immediate employment, an immediate job? Is it to network? Is it perhaps to practice talking to employers, just kind of getting out there, introducing yourself, or is there some other reason? So I'd like to just give it about a minute or so for people just to type in the chat why it is they will be attending the fairs, and Matt will be reading out your responses. So we'll give that just a minute. Why are you coming to the fair? And just a reminder for those of you that are just coming in that this webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded onto our website and YouTube. So why are you attending the fair? Go ahead and answer that in the chat. I'm just curious what people are hoping to get out of the fair for themselves. Matt, do we have any responses coming in?
Yes, I can start reading those out. Thank you, Chantal. The first is from Naveen, to practice talking to employers, which I think is a great one.
Yeah.
Simmerpete said to get employed. Chang said
Good
to
reason to go.
finding a
Good reason
job.
to go.
Yeah, finding a job is also great. Kamal said need an immediate job. Long said to know about the market. I think that's also a great one.
Yeah.
Varun said to get a job and options to find a correct job. R. Oyales said to network and to find a job. Networking is always a great idea.
Mhm.
Sahil said to practice talking to employers. And Brian said to find a job and to network.
Okay. Excellent. Well, great. Thank you all very much for answering that question. It's really helpful for us to know that as well. Um, and I love, of course, it makes sense. Go to a job fair, find a job, and that is 100%, what I would expect people to be attending the fair for. But certainly practicing talking to employers. So some of you might not necessarily want to go to the fair to find employment, but rather just to practice and introducing yourself, asking what's available, asking a little bit about the company. I think that's really, really great. So thanks for sharing that. And Matt, thanks so much for that. All right, so 7 job fair tips in 3 steps. So before the big day, be aware and prepare. And that will help you during the event. That will help you to engage and be memorable by preparing and being aware of what's to happen at the actual affair, at the fair rather. And then, of course, following that up by taking action. So don't just kind of leave the fair and continue on with schooling, but rather follow up with employers. And for those of you that are not necessarily looking for immediate employment, following up with an employer just to let them know that you really enjoyed the conversation and you now perhaps have that company on their radar is a really, really great way to connect and network with employees and practice, right? Practice that process that we so highly encourage, right? Network and connect. All right, so before the big day, be aware and prepare. So know, identify, prepare, and practice. Okay, so these are 4 steps of 7. So know, that's you. Know yourself. What is it that you are looking for in the job? What are some skills that you have that you'd like to use? What are some skills that you would like to perhaps develop? Do you need something that's flexible to go with your schedule? Are you looking for something that's relatively nearby? Perhaps you're looking for an employer that has a really great employee discount, right? Whatever it is. But just thinking about that, like knowing yourself and the skills that you need perhaps for future employment, that's something to think about. And for those of you that were part of our employer panel yesterday, we had a couple of questions that kind of led to this. One was to Elizabeth from Hub International, and the question was, I believe, if I'm interested in insurance and working in insurance later on, what are some entry-level jobs that I need now in order to help me, in addition perhaps to my training at KPU, in order to help me increase my chances of finding employment within the insurance industry? And Elizabeth stated that they would be looking for someone with customer service experience, with selling experience, maybe even a little bit of marketing background, right? So these are all skills that you can develop through a part-time job, something that you are employed in while you're studying. Another question, and that one was to Benita from TD. And one of the questions that was asked to Benita on the panel was, do I need banking experience in order to get a job as a teller? And Benita's response was, well, no, because a teller job is an entry-level position within the bank. But what they do look for is that customer service experience and perhaps even a little bit of sales experience, but specifically customer service. Now, I don't think Benita was specific about the amount of customer service experience, but from my own knowledge. I believe it's about 6 months. So these are really, really great skills that can get you many professional level jobs. And so that might be, part of what it is you are looking for when you attend the event. So know yourself, think about what your future goals might be and what are some ways that you can really help build those skills necessary to help move you closer to that career goal later on. So the first step before the big day is know what it is you want, know what it is you need, the skills that you want to develop, and all those other things like, is it nearby and so forth. Number 2 is identify the companies that are going to be attending and the positions that they could possibly be hiring for. And how do we do that? Well, we go to kpu.ca/get ready. Get ready, get hired, I believe is the address, and scroll all the way down to the bottom where you'll see the list of employers that will be attending. And then from there, visit their website, go to the careers page, identify what it is they might be looking to fill at the fair. If you can't find the listing, consider contacting the company directly. Let them know you're a KPU student. You understand that one of their representatives is coming to get ready, get hired. And in order to help you prepare, you're wondering what kinds of jobs they might be looking to fill. So identify the companies. Number 3, prepare. So now that you've identified who's going to be there, the positions that they might be hiring for, it might be a good idea to put together a good solid resume and cover letter that Michelle will be helping you with tomorrow during the resume and cover letter webinar. A good customized cover letter and resume addressing the needs of that particular position. And again, for those of you that attended the employer panel yesterday, a customized cover letter is crucial. Unless they specify that they don't want one, it's always a good idea to write one. And we did note from yesterday's, both employers answered this question about cover letters, and they state that they usually start with the resume and then hop over to the cover letter. So you don't want to leave any vital information off your resume and only keep it on the cover letter. They're going to start with the resume and then move over to the cover letter. But the cover letter is a really, really great way for you to stand out. Now, they might not necessarily be accepting paper copies right there at the event, but I would strongly recommend that you have them on standby, soft copies that you could perhaps send right away, or immediately following the fair. You might tweak it up a little bit based on what it is you found out while you were talking to the employer, and then hop over to their website and apply. But that's a later step. That's step number 7. So we're jumping ahead a bit. Okay, number 4 is practice. So practice introducing yourself. Develop a very simple, very quick pitch. Now, some of you may have heard the term elevator pitch, sales pitch when it comes to networking and job searching. And generally speaking, they're about 30 seconds in length, but I highly recommend that you take it down and cut that about in half. I'd say about 15 seconds at most should be your pitch, because depending on the employer, depending on the booth and the demand and all the students around, you might not necessarily have a whole lot of time to go into too much detail. So I'll help you out a little bit of this with this. Your 15-second pitch should, and I know it's not the best term in the world, but for now, that's what we're going to use. This is your pitch. This is your introduction to the employer, and it should really contain 4 components. The first is your greeting and your name, right? The second is the position that you're applying for or interested in, because perhaps they're not necessarily applying for that, hiring for that particular position. The third is a brief summary of your relevant experience or skills, and then you might want to wrap it all up with a question to engage them in conversation. So let's see what that might look like in action. Hi, I'm Chantelle. It's great to meet you. I understand that ABC is hiring customer service reps. I really enjoy customer service and have just about a year of experience, and I also speak English and French. What's the best way to apply? So if I was to have timed that would likely be well below 15 seconds, but it has all the information in there. And it also finishes with a question, with like a call to action. And that immediately will result in the employer engaging in conversation with you. But you've pretty much included all of the main bits and pieces that are important to the employer there. Might I suggest that you please not walk up to a booth and ask the following questions. Hi, what does your company do? What kind of jobs do you have? Or, hi, do you have anything for accounting students or HR students or sociology students? That tells the employer right away that you haven't really done your research, that you're not particularly interested in them as a company, and that you're just kind of generally there to look for any kind of job. It's really important with employers, whether you're at a hiring fair or you're writing a customized cover letter, that the employer feels wooed by you, right? That you only have eyes for that employer. And so by walking up to the booth and introducing yourself using these 4 components that are customized to them, you're making yourself memorable, right? You're making yourself memorable, which moves us into the second section, which is what to do during. Well, be engaged and be memorable, right? Be engaged and be memorable. So how do we do that? Well, step number 5 is you want to make sure that you're dressed in a way that is presentable. Nothing fancy here. Remember, the Get Ready, Get Hired job and volunteer fair is a little bit more geared towards that entry-level job, the job that we might hold while we're also studying full-time or part-time. So you can certainly be casual, but you do want to make sure that you're presentable, right? So what would that look like? Well, maybe clean iron pants, a skirt if you're so comfortable, and a nice clean shirt. Shoes, running shoes are fine as long as they're not all, scuffed up and muddy and whatever, but those are fine for entry-level jobs. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest running shoes for the career day event that we hold in March. Number 6, and that kind of goes with number 4, communication, which is developing your pitch, right? Your introduction. So you want to make sure that when you approach the booth that you're speaking clearly, not too quickly. There's probably a lot of noise around, so they might have a hard time hearing you to begin with. And you want to make sure that long before you even step foot in the atrium, where all the booths are, that your AirPods are removed beforehand, and perhaps your phone is even muted or at least put down on vibrate. So listen intently to what they have to say, and feel free to bring a pad and a pen and, maybe jot down a few words, just to help you remember what it is you might like to mention later on if you choose to apply with that particular company. Maintain eye contact, but don't be too creepy about it, but you do want to make sure that you're maintaining eye contact. So you're going to go up there, you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to ask them about the process for applying, and they're going to tell you very likely step by step. So you want to make sure that you're leaning in, you're listening, you're showing that you are engaged and interested in what they have to say. And in fact, you might even be writing things down on your notepad in order to help you remember that. And then, of course, smile, right? So as they're talking about the company, chances are they are a company recruiter or human resources. They tend to be the faces of their companies. So they're probably very proud of the company that they work for. And so as they're telling you about this company and about the opportunities and so forth, engage by maintaining eye contact and smiling along with them, right? And that will help keep you memorable. And then, of course, you want to take action, right? So take action after the event, keep momentum going. Within 24 hours, I would suggest is, maybe send them an email if you did get their contact information. Many will bring their business cards with them. And of course, it's not likely that you can email them your application. Many of the companies do have an applicant tracking system that you would then apply through. However, there's probably no harm. In fact, it's probably beneficial to send them a very brief email to remind them who you were. Perhaps you can, mention a specific point that the two of you had discussed, kind of reintroduce who you are, why you're interested in the company, and let them know that you will be applying, and let them know which role you'll be applying for and why. And then make sure, again, to customize that cover letter and resume based on the wonderful tips you'll be hearing about tomorrow, and then submit that application. And that's a really great way for you to be memorable after the event. So make sure to take action within about 24 hours of the event. Now, if you happen to go on their company website and you don't see any relevant positions, you may have, because you had a conversation with the representative, you may have been invited to simply submit a cover letter and a resume that's geared towards a particular position in order to be considered for future employment. So in that case, that might be the action that you choose to take as opposed to applying for a specific role. So main takeaways here. Know what it is you want in a job, right? Think about your future goals and how some of these particular companies or positions might be able to help get you there. Research and prepare a simple intro. Stand out. Show them that you've done your research. Avoid asking those two questions, right? Hey, what do you guys do? What do you, what are you hiring for? Walk up and let them know that you've researched them and you're interested in this company and you know about the positions that they're hiring for, and that'll make you more memorable. Don't wait too long to apply. I would suggest that you keep momentum going within about 24 hours or so, give or take, and then apply, or at least demonstrate interest in future possibilities if they don't have any current openings that are relevant to you. And then finally, bonus step number 8, make sure that you check in and hopefully you'll win. So when you get to the event itself, make sure that you check in, you register online, you check in once you get there so that you can get your stamp card. Once you get your stamp card and you go around to each of the employers that you are that you've researched, that you've put together a brief pitch for, and every time you speak to an employer, you do get a stamp. For every 5 stamps, you get put into a contest in order to win either a Fitbit, $100 Brentwood gift card, or 2 possible tuition waivers. So one is a $500 tuition waiver and the other is a $250 tuition waiver. So make sure that you check in and hopefully you'll win. So those are my main tips for the Get Ready, Get Hired job and volunteer fair. And now what I'll do is open it up for any questions that may have come in. I think I'll just stop sharing my screen as well. Well, I see that I finished quite early. But the recording will be up, so you can certainly have a recap of everything that we covered today. Matt, are we seeing any questions in the chat?
Oh, we just received 1 or 2. So the first one is from Chang. How many resumes do I need to print?
Oh, okay. So in terms of resumes, I wouldn't necessarily print them out, but I would have them ready to go. So you've done your research, you've identified the main employers that will be going to the event, and hopefully identified a few positions that you might be interested in applying for. Put together the resumes and and cover letters ahead of time, but it's not likely that they will be accepting paper copies right then and there. Most of them go through the system, the applicant tracking system. So I wouldn't think that it's necessary to print any resumes for the actual event.
Why we can provide our resume to them?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why we can provide our resume to them, like if we don't need to print them?
Yeah, so normally, like most of the employers will be accepting applications through their website, right? Most of the companies tend to have an applicant tracking system, and they all really do prefer receiving the resumes through that process itself. So as I mentioned, it might be a good idea to have your resume and cover letter ready to go, but I wouldn't say that it's necessary to print it. However, if you do find that there's a couple of employers that really would prefer to have paper copies, then you could probably go off, print out the ones that you've already prepared, so it wouldn't take you too long, and then you can submit it that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next question is this fair online or offline?
Yeah, so the webinars are all online, but the fair itself, for the first time in a couple of years, is all in person now. So on Wednesday, September 28th, which is next Wednesday, the fair will be at the Surrey campus in the main area at Surrey. And then the next day, Thursday, September 29th, the fair will be in person here in Richmond. This is where I'm coming to you from, in the main atrium on the Richmond campus. So the fair itself is in person. All the webinars leading up to the fair and the interview webinar after the fair will be online.
Awesome. Thank you, Chantelle. The next question is from Simran Preet. I was wondering, how much turnout are you guys expecting? I mean, would it be crowded?
We do prefer that students register ahead of time, and certainly that will increase your chances of, it's something that you won't necessarily have to do at the fair if you register ahead of time. But we do anticipate to have, quite a few people just kind of dropping in and attending in the moment. So in terms of attendance, it's a little bit difficult for us to anticipate. Yeah, unless perhaps someone else can answer that question, but it's kind of difficult to say at this point. I don't think it would be overly crowded, though.
I can maybe share some numbers as well.
Yeah.
So far, in terms of our registration, we have pretty much more than 200 students registered, and that's for both days, for both events. We do anticipate it typically doubles on the day of the event. But in terms of crowding, we never really had that issue. We do have quite enough space for the students, as we see that, the event is going to be between 11 to 3. So some students come in between those hours. You might, if you're worried about crowding, you might see more people during the lunch hour for sure. So if you would prefer coming in when there's less people, then I would suggest coming in maybe a little bit later than maybe around 1 or 2.
Thank
Does
you,
that answer your
Michelle.
question?
And also just taking into account the fact that we do have fewer employers than previous years. That is on purpose so that we can ensure that there is, more room. There's more room to kind of spread out a little bit. So it will not be a cramped space at all.
I also want to share, by the way, Chantelle, we will be posting a program guide that includes kind of like a guide in terms of what the event setup would look like. And so that should be posted on the website before the end of this week. So if, that will maybe give you an idea of what the event would look like on the day of the event.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it's really important to know that that your career services team has been working really hard behind the scenes, getting everything ready for you all. So, anyways, just thought I'd give a important shout out to the team behind the scenes. Any more questions?
Yes, it looks like that kind of answered the next one. Where can I find a list of employers? That would be on our website. Can drop the link below in a minute. The next one after that is, can I apply if I am in first year?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, you can. We welcome you to. Again, the Get Ready, Get Hired Job and Volunteer Fair is really geared towards you. It's geared towards students and in any year who are really looking for more kind of entry-level part-time jobs that they can manage while they are studying. So it does differ a little bit, and we certainly will be seeing professional level employers coming to this event as well. But that's a little bit more common in our career day employer event, which is happening in March. But this one is very much geared towards the student at any level that is simply needing a job while they continue to study. So please come, even if you're in first year.
Absolutely. The next question is, so on Career Connection website, it shows 45 employers, but not all employers show what job positions they have. Should we then ask what jobs they're offering?
Yeah, so good question. One thing that I would suggest doing is once you've identified the employers that you're interested in speaking with in person, first before the actual events next week, hop on their website and see what kinds of positions they are hiring for. And if they don't have the listings there, then at least by hopping on the website, you can identify what it is they do, which will help you to identify what they might be hiring for or what they may be hiring for in the future.
Perfect. The next questions from Brian, are there usually the jobs available for part-time?
Sorry, are there part-time jobs available?
Are the jobs usually part-time?
Yeah, so for this event, we do tend to see employers that may be hiring more part-time positions, but there's certainly going to be a variety of part-time and full-time positions available.
Okay. Abhineet Singh says, what are the timing of the fair?
So the time is 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. And again, it takes place on Wednesday, September 28th on the Surrey campus and Thursday, September 29th on the Richmond campus.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is from Simranpreet. Do the representatives come for specific positions only? I'm assuming they mean, like, are they coming to hire for specific positions?
Yeah, so some of the organizations might have specific roles that they're hiring for now, but it's also a really great opportunity to speak with employers that you may be interested in for future opportunities as well. So if you've gone on their website, you've identified which positions they're hiring for, and you're not particularly interested in applying for any of those, but you are interested perhaps in them as a future employer, it's still a great opportunity for you to meet them in person, ask some questions in order to help, really put yourself in a more strategic position for if you do decide to apply for, a different position later on with that company.
Right. The next question is from Barun. It sounds like they need a resume and cover letter building. Who can help me with that?
Yeah, so tomorrow, Michelle Matthijssen will be facilitating a resume and cover letter webinar, and that will be same thing between 12 and 1 p.m. And Friday, we also have Resumania. So that's where you have the opportunity to drop in with your resume for about 10 to 15 minutes of immediate critiquing. You can also submit your resume and cover letter for resume review, and you can find that on our website. If someone maybe could send the link in there, it's the resume review service that we provide as well, where you can upload your resume and cover letter and get that critiqued. The goal, of course, will be to get that critiqued for you ahead of time. But at this point, that account is quite busy, so I will certainly do my best to get that back to you with my suggested edits. But I would suggest you attend tomorrow's resume and cover letter webinar, and you come by Resumania on Friday. I think that's between 11:30 and 2:30, and that's a drop-in process. You bring your resume, and you get some really important tips there as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Nadia, for posting that.
That's an event I wouldn't want to miss out on. The next question is from R. Oyales. Will all company reps be joining Surrey event, and will they also be present in Richmond?
Yeah, that's a good question. So some employers, many will be going to both, but not all of them. So you might want to go to if you go to the website, the main website, Get Ready, Get Hired, and you scroll down to the bottom where you get the list of employers, it will indicate which days they will be attending, either September 28th and 29th, or just the 28th which is Surrey, or just the 29th, which is Richmond.
Great. Abinit says, do we have to pay $35 to join the fair?
No, you do not. No, this is absolutely free for students to come and attend.
I was going to say, I don't know where $35 came from.
No, yeah, I'd be curious, actually. Can we ask where they may have seen something like that?
Yes, that is for the employers to register for the nonprofit organizations.
Yeah,
They
that's a
have to pay.
nonprofit price, right? All right, yeah.
Okay. So unless you're a
Yeah, actually, I
nonprofit, don't worry
joined-
about it.
I just went on a website and it said that you have to pay $35 to register. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so perhaps you were in the employer section of it, because that is there is a fee for the employers to attend, and then there's another fee for nonprofit employers to attend that are looking for volunteer roles and so forth. So that $35 is the nonprofit employer fee. So perhaps you were in the employer section of the
Yes.
website.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Ah. Good question, though. Thank you for that. So hopefully whoever's listening, it's all very clear. You do not need to pay.
Hey, I have a question.
Okay. What's your
So,
name?
Nisha,
Nisha?
actually, it's my sister's name, like Tanu, who joined the meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see Tanu is on here, but it's Nisha with an N.
And
Okay, great to chat with you. What can we help you with?
actually, I have a question. Like, every student will get a chance to do a face-to-face interview with the employers.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that it's every student will get a chance to have an interview, but every student who attends the Get Ready, Get Hired job and volunteer fair will have the opportunity to speak face to face with all the employers that are attending. Some employers might be doing kind of on the spot interviews, but so that just depends on the employer, but you certainly will have the chance to speak with any employer that is attending the event.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and back to the chat. Simran Preet says, could you please tell me what is the difference between this job fair and the career day Chantelle mentioned during the presentation?
Yeah, so Get Ready, Get Hired, Job and Volunteer Fair, the ones that we're hosting next week on Surrey and Richmond campuses, that one is geared a little bit more towards the part-time job, the job that you might need as a student while you continue to study. Although we do tend to see a variety of employers that are coming to the Get Ready, Get Hired fair, it's primarily geared towards the more entry-level position that a student might hold while they're studying, but not all of them are, but that's mainly what the goal of this hiring fair is. Career Day, which we host in March, is a little bit more geared towards professional roles. So jobs that might be geared towards third or fourth year students, or students that are about to graduate, or alumni that have graduated that might be seeking more career level employment.
Awesome. The next question is, there's another event on October 11th. Is that a career fair as well?
Can you tell me a little bit more about the event?
That's from Ekpreet. What event were you referring to, Ekpreet?
I think it's something with the correctional services. I'm not sure right now.
Okay. Well, sometimes what we do, Mancha, our fabulous social media and events assistant, will sometimes repost upcoming events that aren't necessarily occurring at KPU, but it might be an employer or a company that we're familiar with, or perhaps they're hosting their own hiring fair or career event, and we might repost about it. So perhaps that's what it is. It's separate from the Career Development Center here at KPU, though.
I know it happens. It's in Surrey, at the Surrey campus. I know it's in the morning. I'm not really sure anything else.
Yeah, it might be. And Michelle Suarez, if you're still on the call, perhaps you can clarify this, but it might be an employer event that's happening on campus.
For sure. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we are associated with this specific event. They might have gone through directly through KPU and not through us. And so unfortunately, some of the events we we won't really have any connection with, but we can maybe take a look for more information. Or it might be a partnership with the criminology department too. So that's one thing you maybe want to check and see if there is an event specifically, associated within the department.
Thanks for that, Michelle.
All right, thank you both. The next question is from Sifat. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Is there any possibility to get an intern position for non-management related positions such as an analyst or software developer?
Yeah, so again, all the companies are hiring for various positions. Visit the website, scroll down, see who's attending, and then visit their website. See if there's any positions posted. That being said, at the actual event itself, you could approach the employer, and rather than saying, hey, what are you hiring for? You can let them know that you did a little bit of research about the company, and while you didn't see anything posted on their website, you're wondering if they have any possibility of internships in the future or perhaps current openings.
Definitely, the possibilities are endless.
Endless.
Simmerpreet then says, is KPU hiring Winky Face? Would you guys be present there as employers? Is there any chance we could talk to KPU representatives as well about any positions available at KPU?
That is an excellent question. And yes, KPU is hiring. There's lots of opportunities on the KPU careers page. But again, Michelle, I might call you into this this one, but I don't believe they do have a table at the event.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have HR coming directly to the event, but that is a wonderful thing to kind of like think about, and that's something that we'll definitely be able to look into in the future.
Yeah, and just to kind of pull on that thread a little bit about KPU, most unionized environment, KPU is a unionized environment, they have these policies where always for positions, internal applicants are always considered first for positions. So thinking about that, it is a good idea to maybe be open to the possibility of accepting a little bit more of an entry-level position within KPU or a similar type of environment so that you can perhaps be considered for any internal openings, as they arise. So that's something to think about as well.
Definitely. I'm just going to switch over because I think Amanjot had a couple questions in chat. So if you want to say those over the mic, Amanjot, you totally can. I see your hand raised.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I missed the first part of the webinar. So, where can I get the recordings of this webinar?
So the recordings can be found in a couple of places. They will be uploaded on the actual Get Ready, Get Hired web page, but they will also be uploaded in the Career Development Center's YouTube page. So all of our previous recordings from other hiring fairs or other employer events, we always record them and upload them there, so you can find them in one of those places.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is that can we interview for all of the employers, and will there be any on-spot interviews or tests on that day?
Yeah, so it would certainly take you a long time if you wanted to interview it all for all of the employers. So what I would suggest is for you to identify, which of the employers that are coming that you're interested in speaking with. Research them a little bit, identify what it is they're hiring for and what it is you'd like to apply for, and then approach them at the booth with that particular or those particular roles in mind. Now, some of the employers, yes, might choose to interview right there on the spot, but we don't, or at least I don't have that information about which ones might be doing that. It it does tend to be a little bit more fast paced, so it's not as easy for them to do that. But you never know, some employers might.
All right, that answers my question. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Great. And the next question, it looks like, is a chunk of questions. So we'll maybe tackle these one by one. Do we have the chance to give our physical resume to employers, or the online resume that we upload during registration is enough? If yes, will the online resume submitted during the registration be seen by employers, and will they contact students that they shortlist based on that resume, or will they only consider students who give out physical resume on the day of the event?
Yeah, so I would strongly recommend that you put together a customized resume and cover letter that's geared towards the specific company and positions that you are interested in. It's not likely that they're going to be accepting paper copies right then and there. If you do happen to come across an employer that's happy to accept a paper copy, then you know you'll hopefully, having done your work ahead of time, you'll have one ready to go. You just need to print it and hand it to them. But it's very likely that they will want you to submit it through their own system. So through their own, usually their own applicant tracking system, or emailed directly to them. So I would recommend that you, do a little bit of research. It's not likely you're interested in every single employer. So do a little bit of research, identify the companies that are going, the positions that they're hiring for or could be hiring for perhaps in the future. Put together, a customized cover letter for each resume, move things around a little bit so it's a little bit more relevant for them, and then have that ready to go. And once you've had a conversation with them at the fair, I would suggest that you follow up by letting them know you're going to apply, which position you're going to apply for, and then go ahead and do it directly to the company that way.
Great. Thanks so much, Chantelle. It's a long one. And the last question is from a bin menu. How many weeks can we expect the time period? How many weeks can we expect in terms of time period to hear back from the department head regarding either the rejection of application or approval? I'm assuming they mean from the employer.
Yeah, it definitely varies. It really depends on the process, the application process. So, some employers, not that common anymore, but you might email it to them directly, whereas some it's an applicant tracking system. So it really does vary by employer, and it's not something that I can answer because it is specific to them. However, that's a good question to ask them, right? The day of the fair, I would, go up, do your intro pitch as I had suggested with the 4 points, and then ask them that question. Can you tell me a little bit about the process? If there's a bit of time and there's not a massive lineup, just say, how soon after do you? I would focus more so on accepting applications and not so much rejecting. But you can say, what is the general turnaround time for when you post a position to when you shortlist for interviews to when you offer a job? Generally speaking, from posting to job offer, what's your average timeline? You could ask them that question because they all differ.
All right. And that is all the questions in chat for now.
All right. Okay, well, I think that's it then for us here. Excellent questions. Thank you so much for your time. And as promised, we will be recording this, or of course it is recorded, but it will be uploaded relatively soon with all the questions and answers as well. And we do hope that you'll be registering for for resumes and cover letters tomorrow, and Resumania on Friday, and interviews after the fair on October 4th. And remember, if you do that and you attend, you could win a $20 Starbucks gift card. And if you register and attend the event and speak with 5 or more employers, then you will also have your name put in the draw to win either a Fitbit, a $100 Brentwood gift card, or a $250 tuition waiver, or a $500 tuition waiver. So please get out there and do that and get yourself a job while you're at it. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending, for giving us your time today. We really do appreciate it. And for all other questions, feel free to just visit the website. I know that the link has been placed there in the chat. And before we go, are there any other questions before we wrap it up? All right. Well, that's it for us then. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.